Marching for jobs and justice. And even today, people still marching for jobs and justice. You know, Malcolm said that the only way you want to a fox is they first show you a wolf. You know, he said unless you change the system of government, the problems are never going to change. And so since the system hasn't changed, then we have to change ourselves, because oftentimes we've been duped into believing that Brown Bush, the Board's education work, the Civil Rights Act of 64 work, the Fair Housing Act of 65 work, and Housing Act and Active Act work. But the reality of the situation is it's a victory you could tell me about, but it's not one you could show me.
Right.
You see? So when people start coming to me talking about, well, we had this and we had that, I have to assume, as Brother Malcolm said back in 64, that if you've been duped, but that you're trying to dupe me.
Well, okay, I'm correct. We're talking about, I personally, I do not believe in Jesus. Jesus never existed. I wrote a book on it. This is it. I think our major problem for me, and what you're saying, you said nothing changed. And I know a lot of you guys are ready to actually just knock me out of here because I said Jesus never existed, which it didn't. It was created in the Middle Ages of Europe. Because first of all, the letter J, letter W, U never existed. We know that. That's a fact. So you didn't have, and Christianity, first of all, as you know, it came out of Africa. Reading and writing, Africans invented reading and writing. Oh, y'all should know that. You know, mathematics and all these things that came out of ancient Africa. This is something that we know. But I personally, I do not believe that as I enslaved people who were brought here, a lot of things happened to us while we were here, that we can depend on the same system that had enslaved us to free us. It is an outer drain. I call it psychological coma. Dr. Troy, that's one of your words. I call it psychological coma. You cannot depend on the same person that have brutalized you to give you a therapy. Right. The only way, like Elijah Muhammad said a long time ago, that's one thing that I really agree with him. I agree with a lot of things. One of those things. We have to separate. If we cannot separate physically, culturally, we need to do this. Black people are never going to be free by depending on the slave master who never paid us a dime for 400 years of free labor. That's why we poor. That we think that he was going to come and help his system with freedom. We cannot depend on the slave master to freedom. It will never happen. We are having a dream. Christianity, wait a minute, one more thing. Christianity was given to us as tools to make us work. The black church was created by a slave master on the plantation to make her into a better slave. First of all, like I said, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, they all came out of Africa. Now European and the Arabs, who were also slave master, control it. We got to get out of it, man, guys.
But let me say something here, that I don't think we should just kind of zero in on Christianity, because Islam itself has produced a lot of problems for Africa.
Yes.
So, especially that Arab Islam. So the point about it is that anybody can take a religion and use it for political gain, and that's the first thing. So that's the thing. The issue of separation, I have to disagree with that, because the world we live in today, there's no way to separate. I mean, there's no way to separate. Where you going to separate and go? All of our economies are linked together. The internet, we're all linked together. The point about it is that we have to find ways to maintain our identity, our character, in the midst of all of us bring something to the table. All of us bring something to the table of humanity. This whole idea that somehow or other we can retreat from the table and that will make us better, I don't see how that's going to happen. Okay? We bring something to the table. What we have to discover is what is it that we bring to the table. And the point that I mentioned before, if we look at ancient Africa, you look at our culture, all that, that we have to constantly struggle to make sure that truth, justice, and righteousness is not lost in this world. This is our mission. And the point is we have to work with others. We have allies and all that. The point, as Professor Randall said, we cannot vilify other people. we cannot vilify whites. Because there were some good white, in fact there are some whites who fought and died when other blacks were running the opposite direction. So what are you going to say about those whites? What are you going to say about John Brown and his family, who was trained by Harriet Tubman and who decided to take a stand, and literally he and his family died to end slavery? And there were many other whites. You have today a group of whites, the Quakers, particularly what we call the American Friends. A lot of folks don't even know who these folks are. These are whites. These are white people who, even from slavery, have supported freedom, have spent money on it, have given their lives for it. In fact, the civil rights, when you look at the civil rights movement, they play a major role in helping to bring about the civil rights movement. So the point about it is trying to vilify other people. We don't want to do that. We want to recognize what is it that we bring to the table. And we bring goodness and righteousness to the table. This is what we bring. We don't bring hatred to the table.
I want to talk to your question specifically. And first I want to say that about separation, one of the best things that, one of the things that the American capitalist system has been incredibly effective as doing is exporting anti-black racism. And so that you can hardly go to any country where anti-black racism don't exist. And I learned that in 2001 when I went to a meeting of black people from all over the world. I didn't even know they had black Chinese.
Right.
You know, from China and blacks from Russia and blacks, and we couldn't even speak each other's language. But the same thing that we experience here, wherever they are in the minority, they experience the same thing. Okay? And the problem becomes is even when they go to the places of majority, while there are other ways of division. Okay? And so part of the problem becomes how do we make ourselves whole as a people of that. But I want to talk about black men and in colleges. I'm in a law school. I've been in some way or another working for over 50 years. It has gotten significantly worse in the last 15 or 20 years in terms of the number. There's two problems that I see with black men in law school. Okay? One, the numbers have dropped like a ton. I mean, it's just like for every 4 or 5 black women, there's one black man in law school. Okay, and we only talk about 6 or 7 people in law school. So the other problem is that there is a huge attempt to cut us off from the law because there's only two. This country is controlled by money, one, and by the law. If you don't have the money, you better understand the law, because that's the only other way to change the system. Now, you may have to overthrow the system. I'm not saying that you all have to work always, but somehow the laws that you work under have to be different. The other problem, and this goes to the cultural issue, and this is I found in the last 10 years, black men are much more unwilling to admit flaws and accept help.
That's right.
So they come into this historically white institution and they try to go it alone in ways that black women don't. And when they get in trouble, they won't seek out help. I am astounded because it wasn't always true. But now, and people nationally are trying to talk about why is it that when we admit 3 black men, 2 of them are going to fail, and they're not going to fail because they're less intelligent. They're going to fail because they didn't seek help early enough in the process to be able to help them through.
So true.
And any discussion of that, that goes beyond here, but to me, that is a huge issue. And the third change that I've seen, and this is for black men and women, is people seem to be self-interested more. I don't know how to say that. They're not going to law school to come back to help the community. And that's a change. I used to see people who say, yeah, when I go back, I want to go to my community, wherever it is, and I want to help. And more I see black kids saying, how do I get in a large law firm? How do I make, wanting the same things. They're not thinking about how do I use this law to help my community. That is, I can't. And so my race and racism in American law class had no black people in it this year. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, it was mostly black people. I'd have 20 people in the class, 10 of them would be black. All the blacks in the school would be taking my class. Now it's like they don't want to be identified as black. I think. And taking a black professor's course on race and races in American law is too much of an identification as black. And that's a change that I've seen in the last 10 years.
Let me, if I can, I just wanted to point out, I want to point this out, and for all of you young people, I want to point this out. This is very serious, and this is what I'm coming from. We study history. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that of all of our studies, history is best qualified to reward our research. This might sound kind of extreme, but we are right now living in a climate that the Jews were under in Nazi Germany. Now I'm going to point out what I'm trying to say to you, and I want you to listen to me very clearly. That you can say that, I'm not going to say every white person is an enemy, but I'm going to say those who are in control. Those who are in control are the enemy, and I'm going to say this too. There is what is called collective consciousness. Collective consciousness allowed 3 centuries of slavery to happen. Where was the good white people then? They were doing the Underground Railroad, but if they were caught, they were going to be killed by the collective consciousness. So those few white people can't help us. I'm saying to you that the black man in America, black people in America, you are obsolete in this society. They have machines now doing what they had brought us over here to do. They have foreign labor now doing what they have brought us over here to do. The best job that you can get is to get arrested and get employed in the prison industrial complex, because that's where the other jobs are going. So what now is the plan? I'm telling you, it's a biblical situation that we're looking at. Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying. Not only multiplying in numbers, but you notice how on the television they talk about the new Black Panthers and how they put out a legal arrest to arrest Zimmerman. It wasn't illegal, it was a legal arrest. They say now if Bush or Cheney go over into Switzerland that the citizens have a right to arrest them. A citizen's arrest. Now, if we look at the condition that we're now facing, you have just black men who are unemployed and unemployable. We're in double digits. So what do you do with a population? If you're the ruler, what do you do with that population? I'm saying, he says, Pharaoh said, let's deal with them wisely. So what does wisely mean? Wisely means chemical, listen to what I'm saying, chemical and biological warfare is being waged on us. That's what you call crack cocaine. There's no black man in no ghetto get into the kitchen and chemistry and figure out how to take crack cocaine and make it to where it hits the pleasure centers of the mind. These are people, and then flood the community with guns. I mean, this dude is wicked. Then you have this story about a green monkey biting a black man on his behind and getting AIDS. When we all know that when AIDS started off, it was seen as a white homosexual disease. But now you go all over the country. It's an epidemic in Africa, an epidemic in Caribbean, an epidemic wherever black people are, an epidemic in Washington, D.C. If you go... So, what I'm saying to you is this. From the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's saying that we will be separated against our will. The children of Israel, they didn't want to go with Moses because they didn't know what they were going into, but they were separated. You have separation, like I said, when you read about the Daniel and the boys, separation. We are captives, and God's pattern is that He comes, He raises up from among those people a messenger. That messenger then goes to those who are in rulership to give them a chance to get it right. But if they don't get it right, then He forcibly removes them. And that's why you have the unusual weather. You had that same thing with the in Egypt being rafted by nine plagues. And the last one was the plague of death. We're looking at, in America, pretty soon, the outbreak of straight-up revolution. Not just us, but I'm talking about civil war. So we will be separated. And so, brothers and sisters, I would say embrace yourself, embrace your brother. Because if it breaks out, nobody's going to... You all remember Katrina? They tried to cross that bridge and get over into that town to get some relief, and they shot them dead. That's what's up. I mean, you can take that or let it alone, but I would take it and begin to learn more about yourself and embrace yourself. And of course, as always, there's always a Moses and an Aaron. And for me, of course, that Moses and Aaron is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Understand that after the 1 Million Man March, where he called for 1 million and 2 million came out because they were through New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, and Colors. They were, as my sister was saying, they were exporting this image of the black man as a brute killer so that they could justify their next move, which was to just straight up come in and kill. Well, they've gotten to that point right now. Right. And they have called, and that's why you have never seen the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in the media since the 1 Million Man March, because under COINTELPRO, they were on the lookout for a black messiah, and they never wanted that black messiah to be able to catch the ear of the young people. That's what's up.
I think the brother, you had your hand raised, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I just sat here and just listened to that. I stand up with it, especially for the young people. I come from one of the worst neighborhoods in Dayton. Dunbar Manor don't exist anymore. I grew up with my moms. My brother's in jail right now. I got a felony. So when we dealing with felonies and things that happen, it's on a whole nother level when you really go through. Mm-hmm. Some people ain't been through that. You know what I'm saying? With my felony, I'm what she called a partial slave. Because I did 6 month probation and that was it. I got joint custody of my son. I'm going for full custody. So, but I watched like my best friend, a couple of my best friends, one of my best friends, I hired him where I work at. And I had to go get him because his brother was killed. And I had to take him to go see his brother. He ain't gonna get his father. Next year he lost his other brother. in Springfield.
Wow.
So when I hear all these situations, then I got another friend that's like my brother, getting ready to go back to jail for 10 years. Had another friend, the whole neighborhood, it's just a big, like tidal wave of everybody just going to jail. It's a revolving door. And a lot of people, even black people, really don't know what that's like. They talk about it, you hear it in the music, y'all listen, you hear these things, but you don't really know what it's like going through that. Watching your best friend cry, and you crying with his family as his brother right there. Then he loses his other brother. Then my best friend going back to jail. So these laws, it's all stemming from that felony though. These brothers can play basketball, out of this world, football. We need to stop that one thing. I'm going to say that. Because that's all the kids look for. Now, I like it. I like the sports. But that ain't everything. Rap music ain't everything.
That's right. That's right.
Because when you really go through that and experience that, it's a whole different ballgame. I hope y'all listen.
Yes.
Seriously. It all stems from the felony. Now, I got laid off from my job. It took me 2 years to get a job, simply for a felony. So I had to call the state of Ohio to get an insurance bond. This is what the kids don't hear. See what I'm saying? Y'all don't hear this part. They got an insurance that pays the employer to hire you.
Right. Right.
So it wasn't that I'm not qualified or none of that. It was because of the insurance money they get.
Right.
And these are mostly Europeans. And I'm not going to lie. Now I got another cousin who got out of prison, finally got him a job, took him years. Now his situation was a little more deeper. But he come from the side tubers of the Moor, so I learned about Noble Jew Ali a little bit. But I don't have a denomination, because I hear so many black people, like the street soldiers, I hear all these things going on, and I've never seen nothing get done. And I feel like it's got to be ones like me, my friends, because this is what the kids look at. They look at the 50s, they look at the TIs, they look at the neighborhood drug dealers, okay? They look at the girls that's with them, but they don't really know what it's like going through those things. So dealing with the felonies is going to be a big part, and pushing fatherhood, it's going to be a big part. I got a 7.5-year-old son, like I said, I got joint custody of, going for custody. He don't see a lot of things. I keep him from that because it's real out here, and y'all don't really hear it like that. A lot of people get up here and talk and this until you really have to really be shown how to get out of some of these situations. I know how it is at your houses. Growing up single parent houses, pops there, pops not be there, you know what I'm saying, moms ain't got no money and things like that. That's where the pressure come in. Because what I'm going to do if I ain't got it? I'm going to go get it.
Yes. Right.
That's what's real. And this is what we need to deal with the kids. It ain't about me, it's about my son, it's about the younger ones, it's about y'all, because these things are real that they're talking about. But it's a difference of talking and showing, and that's what Tupac did. That's why they took him out of here.
Right.
Pac talked about it.
Right.
If he was living today, he would have probably showed you.
Right.
But they don't, it's too much sugar coating, and we ain't got time for that no more. So that's what, I just wanted to say that because it was itching at me, because I talk like this with among my peers, and most of them are fellas.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is the end of the live streaming. We would like to thank all of those viewing this conference online. So please visit www.noforlife.info and order your DVD of this informative conference. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization that does not take any government dollar. All of our funding for our operation are from people who support us. So when you come to our website, every dollar counts. Join Know for Life's network and keep up to date on events, videos, and products. We want to again thank the Boikia Black Cultural Center and Dr. Dana Patterson for allowing us to stream this conference live throughout the world. We will continue the Q&A till 9 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're not going to be streaming, but if you all want to, we're not going to put you under slavery and make you stay. But we can just, if you all want to go till 9 and just ask any questions, we can just go on and just end it up at 9 o'clock. We had a few hands in the back.
Well, the question was, the question was, I like what the brother had to say because he's really on point to the point. The question was heard the answer. Since the 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s, when we came up, we got your young son, my daughter, we still hearing the same old stuff. And the question was really kind of answered from the professors in the college of money. We know that the increase of African American males has not increased in colleges across this country, but we still keep saying, still do the same old thing. Now, Braxton Miller is at Ohio State, brings millions of dollars, but there's not a lot of Braxton Millers on Ohio State campus. I'm going to know the same thing here at Wright State. My question is to the professors here, what are the people doing, lawyers are doing, who are black, male or female, who are professors, male or female, who are black, on these college campuses to get black male participant enroll increase?
Okay. All right. And if we can, and sister, if you can ask yours too, back there in the back, and then we'll go ahead and answer.
I just wanted to say, being an educator today, working with special ed students, we talk a lot about these felonies. We're talking about sending kids to jail because of their behavior. We talk about that, and that touched me because I went to a professional development back probably before Christmas break, and my eyes opened up to what's happening with our children. Our children are getting records in the 6th grade, some even younger than 6th grade.
Yeah.
So therefore, they don't even have an opportunity. We had an officer that came in, it was one of us that came in and said, if you have any type of behavior problem as a juvenile, you won't even be able to work in criminal justice. So that's taking us out of any type of decision making, any type of careers in criminal justice. So then I thought, as a special educator now, I'm trying to work with these students to make sure they're able to pass the state test that you want them to take, and then where are they going from there? To me, I felt like, am I actually helping these students in this? I'm not helping them. If I'm working with them and trying to get them to learn to read and do math and all these things, they say, Miss Saye, I would like to be a police officer. And I have to tell them, you know what, did you have to go to the juvenile court? Did you have to do anything like that? They don't understand that, these are younger children. But we do have to do something, and that's where I am. Something has to be done to dismantle this felony stuff, because if I walk across the street as a teacher now, if I jaywalk across the street, they give me a felony jaywalk, I could possibly lose my job because they decided to put a felony jaywalk on me. It's really real, and we need to have more people in here than this. People, I don't know if they really know. People are probably doing some of these drugs and all this stuff, killing people, because this is what's happening. It's killing us. It's killing our community. And I've been teaching for like 12 years in public school and charter. We have to do something because this is killing our people.
And sister, you have a question then, Professor Avery.
Because my question piggybacks off of exactly what she said. I want to know from the panelists, what are your thoughts, theories, or opinions, or facts about why is it that our educators, which are responsible for establishing the piece of the foundation for our youth, why are they the least paid profession in the professional industry?
Well, I'll try to address the first question that was raised, and I got kind of sidetracked and didn't answer that. There are many of us who have developed various initiatives to help African American males stay in school and be successful. We have mentorship programs that some of us have established. Leadership program. In fact, I myself had an able leadership program at Sinclair Community College. In fact, we had this also at Morehouse, and even in the high school. When I had a mentorship program in Colonel White High School, And in fact, some of the young men that we work with in Conf, I'm still seeing them, still working with them, trying to get them through college. So it's really reaching out to young people. Each of us have to take responsibility to reach out to young people and begin to work with them and provide the kind of mentorship and support that they need. And we're talking about a variety of support. It's not just homeworks kind of stuff. You got to help them solve problems in their lives. You got to help them to deal with financial aid. How do I get financial aid? Or you got to help them when they get into legal problems. All of that. Really putting hands on. So some of us have. But I think the larger question is that a lot of our children are not being educated in the elementary and at the high school level. And so when they get to college, oftentimes they may have to spend 2 or 3 years in remedial studies. Now that means that you're taking financial aid and all you're doing is you're doing these remedial math, remedial English and all that. And after 2 or 3 years, sometimes you run out of financial aid. Because you're just still trying to get, the English and the math that you need to succeed in college. A lot of our students are underprepared, and I think that this is one of the reasons why I think educators are getting a bad rap, especially on the elementary and the junior high level, because people are saying that they're not doing a good job. When in fact, this is the issue. When our schools were segregated, it seemed as though we did a better job.
Right.
We did a better job with our children. Now that the schools are integrated and all that, it seems as though we're doing a worse job in terms of educating our children. So that's something that we need to look at. In fact, one of the first African-American psychologists to get a doctorate degree at University of Cincinnati, she argued in her dissertation that black students in segregated schools did better than if they were placed in integrated schools. And this was 1930. She had already drawn that conclusion. Okay, so there's quite a bit of research to show that if we can provide the kind of support in segregated school, and the point about it is that the whole idea of separation, we had this discussion here. In African societies, in order to prepare someone for adulthood, you have to separate them from the rest of the society to prepare them. In fact, we call them in this, you have to prepare them in what we call special schools. It's a separation. They have to be separated, and the folks have to get to them prepared. And both the male and females have to be separated from the rest of the community.
Secret society.
Secret society. In the preparation, someone can be for 2-3 years. So separation is not something that is alien to African culture, but eventually you have to be what? Reincorporated. So there's no way you can continue to be separated. Eventually you got to come back to the society. Okay. But the whole idea is you have to be prepared to come back. And I think to a large extent, for a lot of our African American males, they were never prepared for integration. They were never prepared for integration. So by putting them into these integrated settings, oftentimes they're seen as threat. Most of the teachers oftentimes are female teachers that are not able to communicate and discipline them oftentimes. And especially if the teacher is white, a white female, that's even worse. You literally have black males actually being suspended for saying that, I don't know if you heard that, I think a 9-year-old got suspended for saying that, oh, my teacher looked good. They said that was sexual harassment. So this boy was suspended, I think it was in North Carolina, suspended for, I think, a week. Because he didn't even say it to the teacher. He said it to one of his classmates, and the classmate went back and told the teacher. Now you know that if it was a black female teacher, well, I mean, what would she? There's no reason why that young black man, 9-year-old, would be suspended from school because he said teacher look good. And not to, they didn't even say to the teacher, telling his friend that he's now suspended for sexual harassment.
Wow.
So it is this kind of environment that black males are getting an education in, where they are actually seen as threats, and then some of them, buy into that too, because they figure that also they're scared of me, so I'm gonna make everybody scared. And that's what I'm talking about, these stereotypes, But we need to reach out. Some of us are reaching out and trying to act. I mean, if you look at the brothers in the nation, you see how you guys dress, look presentable, all that. In fact, when I went to Colonel White and I told the brothers, I said, you all have to present yourself. And he told me, why do I got to do that? Why do I look clean and polished? Why do I have to change myself? I said, because if you don't change yourself, they're going to shoot you in the street. And in fact, some of your brothers are going to step right over your body and go on. So self-presentation is a very important. I mean, that's why Obama became president. He presented himself very well to the rest of this country. That's why a lot of people went ahead and voted for him. So self-presentation. So as black men, we have to learn to present ourselves well. Again, we're not talking about Uncle Tommy and all that, but to present ourselves with dignity, and all that.
But because let's go back with the young man at this point about, I didn't hear anything, I got here late, about the situation of relationship between father and son. Well, a lot of organizations doing that. We know a lot of that breakdown with the relationship between father and son. So what type of things are everybody doing different to try to increase? Because I think our community would be a lot better if the relationship between father and son was a lot better.
Yeah, I think that, and that's a very good point. But I think it's not just father and son. I think just relationships in general. I mean, for African Americans, our relationships, have gotten so terrible. I mean, male-female relationship is bad, So, but the point about it, that relationship between father and son is important. But I think all of our relationships need to be strengthened. Our partnerships with each other. Different organizations we work with, instead of competing, because this is really one of the issues of this mental enslavement. Instead of us cooperating, we compete with each other.
The reason why I say it, Professor, because if the father and son relationship is different, let's say, for instance, like I grew up, my mother and father's relationship was kind of strained. So naturally, as a young man, I grew up, I took my mom's side. That was my first problem, having a good relationship with another man, black. I tried to avoid them a long time ago. My father was, because he had this issue with my mother. As a young man, you grew up, you have that.
That's a very good point. Because oftentimes our first relationship, interest of model relationship, is with our father, and that oftentimes we don't develop good relationship with our father, then we tend to have difficulty really developing good relationship with other black men, other men, or particular other black men. So I think that's why I think this whole idea of providing models, so, as someone of Bakari, I don't need to put it on the spot, but providing a model to someone like a Brother Bakari, to literally show that there can be a good relationship between two black males, that you constantly don't have to be fighting with each other, and therefore that relationship now can be transferred to a good relationships with others, females, and all that. So I think that is very important.
Okay, like the Brother Toy said, basically, I think we are both speaking from the African perspective. Basically, let me wait until you finish. Okay, I'm waiting until you finish. I'm with you. Oh, yeah. We've got to go now, right?
No, What's it about?
Okay.
well, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. But like that, Brother Toy was saying, I think basically we are both speaking from the African perspective. We all are speaking from the African, but we are basically speaking from the traditional basis. What is happening here for us, brothers in particular in this country, it is that since our relationship with our sons and with our wives, with our girlfriend or mothers, everything was destroyed during the time of our enslavement. And this is some of the reason why I said that we need to actually try to go towards slavery in order for us to understand what had happened to us. And that's what I wrote this book, African Marriage versus Slave Marriage. Because in the traditional African society, which people like myself were brought up, when a man is 6 years old, he began to run with men at the age of 6. Like we all said earlier, even though the female is the initial original teacher of the child, but when you get age 6, because it takes a man to realize